Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL. My name's James, and on today's podcast, we're covering what's currently going on in the transfer window. I'm delighted to say one of our patrons has joined me. It's David Hunter. How are you, pal?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, mate. Eagerly awaiting some Morgan Gibbs-White news. We'll touch on him and plenty of the other, I was going to say done deals. It's not done deals. Done deals, speculated deals on this podcast. But firstly, David, a little bit about you. For those who don't know you, who are you, mate?
Well, I guess nobody knows who I am, but yeah, I'm long-term patron of Planet FPL. Yeah, I've been a member of the community for a few years now. Enjoy getting stuck into Slack from time to time and having a bit of a laugh on there. And yeah, just been around Planet FPL for a while now, so enjoying it.
Good stuff. Who's your team?
Liverpool. It's
Did you
been.
go at Did you go at the weekend?
I didn't go the weekend. No, we actually played Preston a couple of years ago in a pre-season friendly, and I went to that one, but didn't go on Sunday. It's obviously quite an occasion. Shout out to Preston for everything they did there. They handled it all really well, I think. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, and nice to see this week. I guess we'd expected contribution from Everton, but it was nice to see the Portuguese Manchester United contingent come down as
Yeah,
well the other day. I know it speaks volumes for the circumstance.
yeah, it really does. So I went down to Anfield last week, and there were scarves from all over the world there. Loads of Wolves scarves, loads of Everton scarves. Yeah, it was yeah, quite something to see, to be honest.
Okay, mate. I think it will be better for everyone. Obviously, once it gets started, I think that first game out the way will obviously have been helpful as well. We haven't actually really got anything Liverpool in the running order here, and I mean it's obvious that Liverpool have obviously been so focused on what's been happening with Jota that there's much talk about them at the moment. But we're going to start with a kind of a big running headline that grew and grew by the hour yesterday in terms of Newcastle United's interest in Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt, who I've kind of been on this podcast labeling in with Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko and suspecting that he may well be a player that ends up in our league. This is nowhere near a done deal, but it does seem like it's proceeding forward here, David.
It does, yeah. I mean, he's been linked to pretty much everyone, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Ekitike. And I know you saw him last year for Eintracht Frankfurt. Um, he's obviously been linked to ourselves as well, but it sounds like the most serious links have been with Newcastle over the last 12 hours. It was, I think Ornstein said, didn't he? He was being, or maybe it was his source saying he was going to be bought to play alongside Isak, which just seems nonsensical. I think um, I don't see how they would play together, given they've got such a good three-man midfield. Newcastle, haven't they? And two really good wide players. So you would think if they were to buy Ekitike, Isak would possibly leave pretty soon, I imagine. But there's no guarantees he is going to go to Newcastle at the moment. Is there, Ekitike?
I mean, if Isak did go, there's only one place he's going, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I had a little look in the Newcastle Slack channel last night, and I think Jack, who's a Newcastle fan, was saying they would be open to selling him maybe to Barcelona or a Saudi club just to get him out of the Premier League. But I would imagine Liverpool would pay more than anyone for him if they were if he was available. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I did see a graphic on Ekitike because I know you compared him to Isak when you saw him, and it isn't a lazy comparison. They are good at the same stuff from what I've seen. So quite a Liverpool thing to do, I think, would be to buy Ekitike rather than Isak because he's 3 years younger than him. But Ekitike's not cheap, is he? And I guess if you buy Isak, you know what you get him. You get in a top level Premier League player. So yeah, no one knows how it's all going to play out. It seems clear Ekitike is going to go somewhere, and the most serious links are with Newcastle at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I found it interesting that a lot of the press releasing yesterday included Isak. It's like, no, no, they're coming to play together. I don't know. Would you normally do that? It's like, oh, Tottenham are buying Kudus, but he's definitely going to play with Brennan Johnson. Like it would be a bit weird almost. And I found it a little bit that way. I know a few of the Newcastle guys have speculated that they might need a big sell maybe like next year. And so maybe there is a case of almost succession planning, maybe planning for Isak, maybe to move on last year. But I've also heard reports over the last couple of weeks that Isak's been offered the number 9 shirt. Don't know if he wants it, and a new contract that would obviously make him the highest paid player at the club. And it wouldn't surprise me if he rejoined. But it does make me suspicious because Yeah, when I first saw Ekitike in that Europa League quarter final, the first person I thought of was Isak. And
Yeah,
he has got it's kind of the thin leg, the body builds similar. There's that drifting to the left. There are certain similarities with the two players. And it is difficult to foresee a circumstance where Newcastle are going to go, yeah, it's 4-4-2 and it's these two lads up front together.
yeah, exactly.
But also, Callum Wilson's obviously gone. I don't know in terms of Will Asula and how ready he would be to step up as Newcastle's kind of backup. With Newcastle in the Champions League, you can't expect to get 55 games or so out of Isak
No,
historically, and they will want to protect him. So I don't think it's necessarily a given that this would mean that Isak's going to move on, whether it's now, next year, or whatever. But I'm not sure about them playing together
no. I mean,
regularly. I have to say, it could be that it's a lot of money for someone that's essentially going to be your first sub, if you will.
it makes perfect sense for Newcastle to buy a Ekitike if when they buy him, if they can give Ekitike certain assurances that he will play X amount of games, but maybe not be first choice. But if Ekitike is open to that, then he'd be an absolutely brilliant signing for Newcastle, and then they can sell Isak for big money next summer, and they've got the ready-made replacement for him. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that. Isak got 3 years left, hasn't he? So Newcastle aren't under any pressure to sell him anyway.
No, once it hits 2 years, the difference between 3 years is under no pressure. 2 years, you've got a decision to make in terms of maximizing your value. You're
Yeah,
not then going to maximize it 1 year. I think the Harry Kane scenario is a really good example here. 3 years, Tottenham were like, go away. We're just not talking to anyone. 2 years, it's like, right, we want to convince you to stay. And with him, because he'd obviously come through the ranks, there was obviously more of a demand. So let's see if we can try and convince him over this next year to re-sign. Didn't do it. Tottenham ended up getting a fee that was slightly under 100 million. I think if you've got Harry Kane on 2 years contract, you're obviously getting a lot more than that. Tottenham still got a good fee for it. And if an Isak left Newcastle with a year left on his contract, you might still get 100. But I really think
yeah.
you're talking about something that's definitely starting at minimum with a one for Isak, and I think could be going sort of. I mean, how much did you pay for Verts?
100 million,
115 was it?
100 million plus a potential 15 in add-ons. I think we're not quite clear what those add-ons are at the moment.
I mean, in terms of his kind of guarantee and proven nature in this league as well, Isak's got to be a lot more than that, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's just as low risk, I guess. I mean, massive money, isn't it? But in terms of proven Premier League, he's we all know he's top tier Premier League player, so that's going to cost money, isn't it? When he's got 3 years left on his contract. So
He's a magnificent player. Yeah, I'll leave it there. We're just speculating, isn't there's no. There was a lot of talk about Isak and Liverpool like a month or so ago, and it had gone quiet even long before, obviously, Jota's passing. And again, it made me suspicious that it wasn't like, oh, Newcastle have told Liverpool to go away or Liverpool have decided it's not for them. It just went quiet. And I'm suspicious about it. That's all I'm going to say at this stage. One deal Newcastle have definitely got done is Anthony Elanga is signed from Nottingham Forest, which you make it out one pal.
I think it's a great signing. I think the first thing with any transfer is, do you think it strengthens the club that assigned him? And this is a definite yes in this case, isn't it? As good as Jacob Murphy was last year, again, like you just said, can you rely on Jacob Murphy for 55, 60 potential games in a season? You're going to want to have other options. He's just absolute lightning, isn't he, Elanga? So there'll be certain games where he's just a massive weapon on the counter attack. I think he's decent enough against the low block as well. He's quite tricky, isn't he? So I think, yeah, I think Forest have got a decent fee for him, but he definitely improves Newcastle on the face of it, I think.
Yeah, there was a lots of debate about the fee within our community, lots of comparisons to other players going for similar amount. There seems to be kind of the ballpark figure at the moment for anything that's half decent seems to be 50, 60 million, and it's not going for anything less than that. I think it's obviously, if he's going to play on the right, which with Newcastle squad makeup at the moment feels the most likely solution because we just know that Newcastle have been looking for a right winger for so long now, since it was kind of clear that Almiron wasn't going to be the man. Then Almiron had this weird season where he just went off crazy for 3 or 4 months. that calmed things down. And obviously, Jacob Murphy had an outstanding season last year,
Yeah, he was
and
great.
does offer Newcastle a lot of tactical variety in terms of how they can set up because he does brilliant work diligently defensively. Elanga's more of an X factor player. I think he needs to find more consistency. But I think Newcastle bought a really good player who can play in multiple positions. He too can play through the middle. By the
Yeah,
way, I think we saw that a lot in terms of his partnership with Chris Wood, really developing the longer the season went on. Can play on the left to kind of bring it back in terms of a potential outgoing for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon is another player that's been quite heavily linked with your own club as well. And if that sort of move happens, then Alanga could certainly cover on the left hand side as well. Yeah, multifunctional forward. These players are becoming way more popular as well. You're not stuck to, oh, he can only play on the right. Yeah, good signing for Newcastle. And it's worth saying, it's kind of really their first team signing really for about 3 years.
mm.
Pretty much the whole project's really been on hold because they've been so close to the edge on PSR. We think they're out the other side of that now.
Yeah. They've got Harvey Barnes, didn't they? Couple of years ago, but he's
I feel like that's 3 years ago now, David.
is it?
Sven Botman as well. I think so. I might have that wrong, but yeah, it feels like a while since Newcastle actually bought a true first team player.
I guess so. Yeah, it's sort of like signing Elanga as well means that it just adds credence. I think that they're not going to play two up front with Ekitike and Isak. I don't think it's they want this three-man midfield, the two really good wide players, of which Elanga would obviously be one of them, and then Isak leading the line. So yeah, brilliant signing. I think he'll improve them a lot.
Yeah, great. It feels like a fairly decent deal for everybody. I'm sure Forest are disappointed that he's gone, but I think they've got a
Yeah,
good fee for him as well. And also don't think Newcastle particularly paid over the top. He's 23.
yeah,
There's a lot of room to develop there. We're obviously going to talk about another potential outgoing shortly, but David, can you tell us about a couple of incomings that Forest have got? I suspect there's going to be one more to this list as well, because we kind of first reported this story about a month ago
yeah.
that Forest were signing three players from Botafogo. There might be a left back to follow, but there are two done. What can you tell us about the two that are confirmed, mate?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of a data dive on a few of the players that we're going to talk about because I'll be honest, there's quite a few new names for both of us. I think it's fair to say, so less so with these two. Well, certainly in terms of Igor Jesus. So Forest have bought him. He's 24 years old, Brazilian, for around £10 million. He's got 4 caps and a goal for Brazil. And what I've tried to do with all of these players is try and understand a little bit more about them in terms of positionally and sort of data wise. So Igor Jesus, his heat map is a little bit all over the place from when I look at his data for Botafogo last season. Nominally a 9, but he does seem to enjoy dropping back into the 10 role. I think he likes to be involved in the game, go looking for the ball. He loves a shot, so he averages over 3 shots a game. So could maybe
That's
be
big.
could maybe be an FPL option if he does get in the team and settle. I mean, he's obviously going to be competing with Chris Wood quite a lot, and you couldn't really drop Chris Wood based on the season he's had last season. Decent data in terms of aerial ability. So yeah, you'd imagine he'd need a little bit of time to adapt. But the fee's really good. I think £10 million for someone who's played for Brazil.
Yeah, that's mad, really.
Did pretty well in the Club World Cup.
You can all speculate in your own time about Marinakis and Textor. I'll leave that for another podcast for another time.
Yeah, seems quite low risk. I think.
Yeah.
Not sure what he's like as a guy, but similar to Jair Cunha, we're going to talk about in a minute. There is a selection of Brazilians at the club already, so you would imagine adaptation would be a little bit easier in that sense. So yeah, that's Igor Jesus. Jair Cunha, he's only 20, €12 million reported fee. He's 6'6", so big lad.
It's going to be good seeing him and Milenkovic come up for corners together.
Yeah, good luck. Knowing what we're like at corners, we'll probably get Alexis McAllister marking him. That's what we like to get our smallest guy.
Yeah, the Newcastle fans would like to say hello again. Yeah.
Played 4 times in the Club World Cup. Scored once against Seattle Sounders. I think this is a wait and see, though. They've also got Murillo and Milenkovic as well-established centre-backs for Forest. So, yeah, he'll need some time. I think it's quite a big leap for him as a young lad. But yeah, could feature at some point.
Yeah, they definitely needed more in terms of the centre back position. We know Nuno can be flexible in terms of the system. He's ripped up like models within game. I think when they played Manchester United at home as a good example of that in April. Was going, even though they were winning, this isn't working. Changing the system. Obviously, European competition for now, and even more so as it stands, have been obviously bumped up to the Europa League. So the requirement for extra bodies is really important. And I think Morato, when he stood in, I've not been quite convinced about. So I don't think there's any concern here in terms of breaking up the Murillo and Milenkovic partnership. He might jump ahead of Morato possibly, and might be first choice if they go to a back three slash back five.
Yeah.
On Jesus, he obviously scored the only goal against PSG at the Club World Cup as well. I guess as it stands, there is a possibility that he and Wood would play together. If you're saying he's someone that can play the 10 position, if Alanga's gone, if Gibbs-White goes,
Mm,
it's
yeah,
possible that they may even start together at the start of the season. So, yeah, he's one that's intriguing, I think, to keep an eye on for fantasy purposes
yeah,
in pre-season.
yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah, yeah.
On Gibbs-White, so this, I'll be so careful here because I'm going to upset some people. I'll try not to. I'll do most of that on our Patreon Tottenham podcast with Sham tomorrow. Obviously, this bomb just got dropped from nowhere on the Thursday last week. And weeks ago, I think it must have been a bit Patreon content because I couldn't find it. But I got asked who I'd have a preference on four players. As I'm not against any of them, but if I could have one, I'll throw Morgan Gibbs-White name into the mix. And then last Saturday, not the Saturday just gone, the one before on my Ask James stream, I repeated that I said that. And it wasn't a player that I'd even heard Tottenham about having an inkling of interest in. And he's someone I'd kind of given up the ghost of the idea of even going to get anyway, because we knew that Manchester City had an interest. And I thought once it's hit that level, right, if it's not City, it'll be Liverpool, it'll be Arsenal, it'll be something else. Thinking it's not going to be my club, forget about it. But a player that I really like. So then the bomb dropped Thursday, and I completely went from a zone of, listen, I just would rather think about the Europa League final for a little bit longer if I can to like get me to Reading next Saturday for that first friendly. I can't wait. And obviously did the stream on the Friday, and it's obviously at here we go stage so quickly. And I didn't really want to put the mockers on it, but I couldn't sit there and think anything other than it was like it's going to get signed today.
Seemed like it was done, didn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Obviously, then it becomes clear why it got done so quickly because it's so rare that these deals go basically from, Tottenham reported interest to within 2 hours. Here we go. Like, what has happened there? Then it becomes clear, right? So then I finish the stream, leave work, and it's like, right, it's off. Hang on, can I just not have good things in my life for just a little bit of time, basically? It's off. Nottingham Forest want to report Tottenham. I want to report Tottenham because Tottenham have activated this release clause, which has freed them supposedly to speak to Morgan Gibbs-White. Obviously, me and Sush did a piece, you'll know, on Patreon literally about a month ago, talking about how transfer deals are done now. And so often, the last people to hear about a transfer these days is the club.
Yeah,
If Liverpool aren't going to go to Newcastle and start smashing out £120 million bids for Isak as an example, without knowing that Isak would be interested to come.
yeah,
People might not want to believe that, but that's where it's at.
yeah, yeah.
So if Liverpool never bid, it might well be because Isak's going, I don't want to go to you.
That's not interesting. Yeah, yeah,
Whether that's through, and it's not necessarily meaning that Liverpool are picking up the phone to Isak, the agents are going to be saying, look, he'd be interested or he would want this sort of salary. Unfortunately, tapping up for a long time has been dead. A really, really long time. You might remember the Virgil van Dijk deal actually got held up for quite a bit of time, and Southampton reported Liverpool, and Liverpool actually issued an apology.
yeah,
The deal still went through, but it didn't go through till the January, basically. People remember the famous circumstance with Ashley Cole, who obviously went to Chelsea back in the mid 2000s from Arsenal. But basically, the reason deals don't really get reported in terms of tapping up is everybody's at it. So you might be thinking, oh, it's just the big clubs who would like bullying. Yeah, but then they'll bully someone else. They'll bully from teams abroad, or they'll bully teams from lower in the league or from the championship or whatever. Everybody's doing it, so no one reports it. So this has obviously been reported, and at which point we think Morgan Gibbs-White might have even been in London already on the Friday, pretty much prepared to do the medical. And Forrest have gone, I don't think so. Now, exactly what the detail is in the contract, we're not sure. I can only think that the all that allows you to do is to basically speak to the player and then you can agree. Now, clearly, Forest believe that's already been done. And Forest will be right. I'm pretty sure it had already been agreed in terms of contract between Gibbs-White and Tottenham. The current scenario is at the moment is dead quiet. Since Friday night, no one's really said anything. All we've really got is a photograph from Nottingham Forest that were posted on their socials of Morgan Gibbs-White, dressed in white and blue, by the way, returning to training on Monday, which he obviously had to do. And Monday was the first day that he was due back. He's gone back. He's supposedly gone back. He's been, Forest fans might question this, professional in terms of like Victor Gyökeres has not been turning up for Sporting Lisbon as an example. Gibbs White's gone back to training and supposedly has reiterated to them his desire to join Tottenham. I don't quite know what happens here next because I don't know if Tottenham maybe can't complete the deal until the Premier League make a decision on this investigation between Forest and Tottenham. I think the frustration from Forest's point of view seems to be that the release clause became public knowledge because Tottenham activated it. We think that when Man City inquired for Gibbs White, they were getting quoted a lot higher.
Yeah,
But
100 million.
I can't understand at that point how Man City wouldn't have been aware via an agent or whatever that the release clause was there.
Mhm.
But we don't know if maybe this release clause is like, okay, it's activated first 2 weeks of July has been rumored. I don't know if it's like an exact figure. So people are talking about 60 million, but you remember the famous anything over 40 million Luis Suarez deal, and Arsenal offered 40 million and a pound
What are they smoking over there?
for Luis Suarez. Why didn't they just go a penny if they were going to be that cheap about it? We don't know if that contract's something weird like 60,264,500 and whatever. And Tottenham have offered, because supposedly Tottenham have offered whatever the exact fund is. And obviously, if it's a weird number and Tottenham have offered exactly that, then that's going to be kind of open that they must have known.
Yeah,
Right? If it's just a flat 60 million, I don't really see what Forest can particularly do about this because I think also, as much as Forest have reported Tottenham, and that's fine. If it's in Morgan Gibbs White contract that at 60 million he's free from the football club, surely Gibbs White just report them for breach of contract.
yeah. I was going to say, I think in terms of where this goes next, I guess a lot of it might come down to how much of a stink Gibbs White is prepared to kick up about this, doesn't it? Or his team are.
Well, it seems like he's not at the
Yeah,
moment. He's done the. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure that if he's gone to Tottenham, like, should I go on strike? Tottenham probably gone. Well, hang on a minute. There's too much noise about this. You're going to have to go to training,
yeah,
and it might be that Tottenham have even said to him, you need to go. So what happens next? We're not quite sure. Everybody seems to think that the deal will still happen. I guess as well. Is there an element that Forest might now be offering him to others because they're pissed off with Tottenham, offering him to yourselves, for example? But then what does that mean in terms of like counterclaim from Tottenham if he then gets his head turned by someone else? Is like, well, we activate the clause in his contract.
yeah.
Also, one thing that I think might hold this up, which I've not seen people speak about, and it relates to something again, I'll speak about this more on Patreon tomorrow. But again, we don't know the terms of the release clause. Now, with transfer fees, so often they're done in installments now, i.e., it'll be if it's 60 million, you might get 20 million paid over 3 successive years, for example. Now, it might be that Tottenham intended to do something like that. And if the negotiations have been cut off with Forest, Forest might be in a position now where they're going, all right, fine, that's the release clause. But guess what? You've got to pay it in one go. And at that point, it could be that Tottenham walk away and go, well, we can't pay the 60 million in the whole go.
Yeah,
There's a lot of speculation behind the scenes that there's some weird stuff and some big investment coming into Tottenham at the moment.
I saw that. Yeah,
And Tottenham don't just go and activate release clauses. Tottenham fans will tell you this. So it was like a shock. So I don't think it's, I know a lot of people think it's done. I think that's a key point in terms of if Forest don't want to talk to Tottenham, Forest might turn around to Tottenham, you've got to pay it in one go. It might not happen.
hmm.
Otherwise, I think it probably will.
He'd be a
What's
great
what,
guy.
what's the worst thing that can happen to Tottenham in terms of Forest's appeal that Forest the Premier League go right? You got a transfer window ban or something. I can't see it would go that deep. The
No.
resolution might be here that it's 60 million and Tottenham go, look, we're really sorry here. his 65, or if they were that desperate to just go to the 60, then I think because what would probably most commonly happen, I think like Arsenal and Eze is an example of this at the moment. We know Eze has a release clause. We know Arsenal don't want to pay it. Arsenal might, but it seems to be a lot of brokering. Can we get him for 10 million cheaper and stuff like this? And that's ordinarily how Tottenham would operate as well.
Yeah.
They'd be coming in under. And I guess commonly, and probably this is what Tottenham should have done, is gone, right, here's 50 million, what do you want to do? And then probably enter into, is there a release clause?
They got
Like,
giddy, probably, didn't they? They got a bit giddy when they found out about it.
they've probably blown their cover, but I also don't really know how Forest can prove it. I'll give you an example. Last summer, Morgan Gibbs-White and James Maddison trained together. Obviously, built up a bit of a friendship for England or whatever. What's to say that Morgan Gibbs-White didn't say to James Maddison, oh, I've got a 60 million release clause,
Yeah, it's
and
possible.
James Maddison's not gone to Tottenham. Do you know he's got? It's probably not good for James Maddison because Morgan Gibbs-White's probably going to take his place in the team, by the way. But what's to say that's not happened?
I'm sure it goes on, yeah. People talk, don't they, on international duty?
Would James Maddison, under that circumstance, be under due to like he can't tell his football club, or I don't know how Forest could prove anything
No. It's
essentially. So, but it's essentially blocked at the moment. And what Tottenham will always do in this sort of circumstances is just shut up. It's so quiet on the Tottenham front. The feeling amongst the ITKs, amongst the Tottenham group now, is if this does get blocked, Tottenham are going to go and spend that money on a different player. It's not like it's Gibbs White or bust, but yeah, that's the player I want. And I totally understand, by the way, Forest sticking up for whatever they think is right. And it's not helped. They've obviously agreed this deal for Elanga. It is done. And then it was like the next day, Gibbs White's going as well. And you're like, hang on, what's happening here? We qualified for Europe, selling our two best players, arguably.
how much would you pay to listen to the conversations between Levy and Marinakis on
I
this?
don't think there will be any. I don't think. Plus, as well, and again, I'll talk about this tomorrow. I don't know if it's Daniel Levy doing any of the talking at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay. It's the sporting director, do you think?
I I'm not sure at this moment who's calling the shots at Tottenham. There's some weird stuff happening, and I
Yeah.
said I speak about that with Sham on Tottenham on Patreon tomorrow. Talking about Sham, I've nicked one of his best players. He wants to call that podcast "Kudus to Judas" because Mohammed Kudus, much to my shock, he's now a Tottenham player. It was obviously clear last week it was going to happen, but when it first got muted, I was like, there is no way that they will sell to us. But they have.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good signing. He gives us one thing that we very much miss in our side, and that's a good 1v1 ball carrier. He's one of the best dribblers in the league, offensively from that perspective. He's got subtle strength, considering he's quite a little lad. He's really good with his back to goal. Good player, sort of profile player we'd have been really looking for. So I'm really happy. Just had me by big surprise that West Ham sold to us. But it seems like once obviously Tottenham were going to get to a level that West Ham were happy with, he had his heart set on going to us. And any idea that a Chelsea was going to step forward, Kudus was like, it's only Tottenham, supposedly. He's not endeared himself to West Ham fans by, I don't know if you've seen this clip going around in his medical, where the doctor's gone, I just want to like test your heart rate. And as the doctor goes to feel his heart, he's quite corny. He goes, Spurs are there.
Come on, mate.
Game week 4, West Ham away. He's going to get
Oh, is
booed
that
to
game week 4?
hell. Yeah, it's
Right.
quite early. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's going to get booed to hell. But I also don't think he cares. West Ham fans, your seats are in a different postcode. He's not going to hear anything. It's not a big deal. It's actually though we have said. I know West Ham fans would be really disappointed that they've sold him to Tottenham, but it's probably the right thing that West Ham sold because they need to reinvigorate that squad really importantly, and they had two outstanding right wingers. And given the choice, there was no way they were going to sell Jared Bowen.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Kudus wants to play on the right. That's where we think he'll predominantly play for Tottenham. He, again, a little bit like Elanga, he could play left, he could play 10, he could probably play 9. He has actually, even I saw some clips going about last week, been playing like a 6th position for Ajax.
All right.
And it's the closest thing I've seen to Moussa Dembele in a long time. But I don't think we're going to see that.
That'd be
He wants to play on the right, and I think that's what Tottenham have sold him at the club on is, yeah, we want you to come in and be the first choice, ideally on the right. He's not going to play 55, 60 games from the start.
no.
Tottenham have got a lot of depth, but yeah, he's been bought to be a first choice player. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No. I mean, yeah, again, very, very good signing. I think there wasn't that much to add about Kudus really. He's a player we're obviously both familiar of, but did have a look at the data on FBref, and it does bear out that you've been shouting for a long time that you've wanted a good 1v1 dribbler, and he's in
Well, I
the
particularly wanted it for Ange, it's worth saying.
yeah,
Ange needed it badly and didn't
with
really
the way
have
he
it.
played, yeah. But he's in the 97th percentile for successful take-ons in the big five leagues over the last year, which is, there's a lot of dribbly players around. So yeah, that's obviously a good signing. He's really popular amongst the Liverpool community, actually, Kudus, because I think he's played well against us quite a few times. He's When we played at Anfield last season, again, he had everyone talking. I even saw him linked with us as well. So yeah, I think, again, going back to the fundamental question, does he improve you? He 100% does, doesn't he? Little bonus is that Ghana didn't qualify for AFCON either, so you won't lose him in over the Christmas period.
Yes, and there's a little bit more AFCON chat to come on this as well.
Yeah,
I think in terms of the fantasy element, it'd be quite interesting to see him in pre-season because it could be one if off his last season, he didn't get many goals last year. He
no,
might be one who comes in sort of like 6.5 or so.
yeah,
Could
you
have a
can see
good
that.
pre-season. We've got some good fixtures at the start, and you might go as a new signing. I'm confident he's gonna play. Again, the caveat on that is PSG 3 days for the first game of the season. And I'm fairly certain he'll be starting that game because we'll need ball retention in the 25% of the time that we will have the ball that night. One just interesting note on him as well, because I know there's a lot of criticism on his goals return last year. Look at the difference in his heat maps and where he's played last season and the year before, where his output was really good. That output in the first year was almost exclusively of him playing off the right.
Yeah,
Last year, very much mixed.
yeah, yeah. He needs a defined position, I think, doesn't he?
I think he's going to get it. They do have one incoming. I don't think it's been completely confirmed yet. You'll know when it is because they've got Boyle Sports as their sponsor now, and that seems to take up the whole of West Ham's new shirt, by the way. They've signed El Hadji Diouf, former spitter of your club, David, which is why it's probably been reported so much as El Hadji Malick Diouf to separate the two players. Midfield players joining from Slavia Prague. What do we know about Diouf, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's more of a left back actually, or
Is he? I thought it's midfield player.
yeah, did a bit of diving on him. He played from left back for Slavia Prague from the heat maps I saw, although he can play in midfield. Senegalese, he's 20. He started in the win over England at the City Ground and at the end of the season. 7 goals, 2 assists in the Czech League last season. I mean, you can take that with a pinch of salt, probably, can't you? Such a different level to the Premier League with respect to our Czech listeners.
Milan Rajavi is coming for you from our patron network,
Yeah,
mate.
shout out Milan. FBref shows he's got good attacking data though. He played in 8 Europa League games last season, and his data showed up pretty well. Really does get forward from left back. Looking at his heat map, he likes going up and down that left flank. I'm unaware how much West Ham have paid for him, but on the face of it, he looks a reasonable pickup. I think could be one that needs monitoring though, as with all players new to the league. But you would imagine in FPL he wouldn't come in more than 4.5. I don't think so. Yeah, if he comes in, you'd imagine he'll get a game. I guess competing with Emerson and for that spot on the left hand side if that's where he's going to play. But yeah,
We might even play ahead.
Could do.
You're quite right. I did just double check. He did play left back for Senegal in that friendly victory against England. I think certainly operate higher up the pitch as well. So it might even be that could even be wing backs, him and Wan-Bissaka that side. Then I thought he was a central player. I have to say, at least David did the research. Well done, mate.
No problem.
You know what it is? I've got in my mind that they're so desperate to central midfield players. I just assumed he probably was one.
Yeah, I've seen whispers about Tyler Morton and Harvey Elliott from us, but I don't know whether they would go straight into West Ham's first team. I think they probably want someone a bit more experienced than that. I think be jumping into the fire for them.
I don't know if Paquetá's officially been acquitted, has he? I don't think, but that seems to be the word that he's going to get off. Seems to have been the rumor that's been going around over the last week. That would obviously be really helpful to West Ham if that's the case. It's deeper line midfield players that they need desperately. You know, kind
Yeah,
of like the Adam Wharton ilk, for example. I'm not suggesting he's going there at all, but yeah, they need a good ball playing central midfield player massively. I think West Ham.
they've got work to do, haven't they, West Ham? Because it's just so quiet, isn't it? And they weren't. Let's be honest, they weren't great last season. Pretty unconvincing, I think, underwhelming under Potter. Um,
I'd give it a pass though. Me and Suj spoke about it so much. It was once they lost to Villa in the third round, a cup season was over. I'm never
yeah,
challenging for Europe. I'm never going down. Almost feels like they've had 4 or 5 months of pre-season. With that in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if they hit the ground running a little bit towards the start
yeah,
of next season, but they do need some additions, clearly.
yeah, yeah.
One club who has been busy over the last couple of weeks is Sunderland.
Mm.
They got a few new incomings in. One of them we know quite a bit about in Simon Adingra, but the other two that have been confirmed since the last time I did this, you might not know anything about. What do we know, David?
Yeah. Okay. So they've been pretty creative, Sunderland, in the transfer market over the window so far. There's a lot of Belgian links. I'm not sure whether that's with the sporting director team or anything like that, whether they've got particular links to Belgium, but two very young players that they picked up. So the first one we're going to talk about is Noah Sadike from Union Saint-Gilloise, 20 years old, born in Belgium, represented Belgium at youth level, but he is plays his international football for DR Congo. So a common theme with all three of these guys is they're going to miss, in all likelihood, they are going to miss the Christmas period due to AFCON. They've paid £15 million for Sadiki. Very versatile, so he's a centre mid, but can also play fullback and centre back. Looked at his heat map and it was kind of all over the place, but I think that's probably because he filled in at multiple positions. He's only 5'8".
I was going to say, I can't see him playing centre back in our league, mate.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
annihilated.
yeah. That would be quite something to see, I think. So 5'8", very short for the league. Centre mid at 5'8". I mean,
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
you can dominate at 5'8" in centre mid. I think so. You could
Yeah,
self in
it doesn't matter. So as long as you've got the physicality, you can't be weak in central midfield in the Premier League. But you know, little things that mattered more, like goalkeepers like knocking it into central midfield from goal kicks and stuff, is just such a rarity now. It doesn't. The height in that area of the team is nowhere near as important as it used
yeah.
to be.
I was going to say you could look at a tape of your good self from game week 39.
Blind me, David.
Yeah.
Patron's already free this month. I can't. There's not a lot more I can do for you, mate.
Yeah, looking at his data, seems to keep the ball pretty well. His attacking data isn't terrible, but this looks like a big ask for him to jump up in level, I think, on the face of it, especially for a team that is probably going to be at the lower end of the table. But you never know; they might surprise everyone. Quite an exciting one is Kemsley Talby. So they've signed him from Club Brugge, 20 years old, again born in Belgium. Pledged his international future to Morocco, although he's not been capped yet. There's a good chance, I would say, if he's going to get minutes in the Premier League, though, that Morocco will take him to AFCON. You'd think £80 million plus a potential £2.5 million of add-ons. Made a bit of a name for himself in February. He scored twice for Brugge in a knockout game against Atalanta in the Champions League in Bergamo. So that's no mean feat. Good level of football. I read a bit of a piece on him. So he's right-footed and has been playing on the right as quite kind of like an old school winger. But it seems to be a school of thought that he would be best going on the left and cutting inside like most wide players do these days. Very, very quick. Good attacking data in Belgium. But again, you know, let's be honest, it's a big ask.
Yeah,
To
there's no way of knowing.
There's no way of knowing. You never know though. He could be cheeky in FPL, but you
They've got great opening free fixtures. You know, if someone's planning an early wild card, I think you're going to be looking at these sort of players.
Yeah, you couldn't possibly start with him because you don't know whether he'll be kind of gradually integrated by.
I'll tell you what I would say about them. I'm pretty sure someone will correct me because it's no doubt probably wrong. I'm pretty sure they've got more preseason friendlies than any other club.
Right, so you'll get a feel for whether he's
It may be.
doing it. Yeah, finish on Adingra, who's obviously a player that we know a lot more about. I I think this is a great fee for Adingra. I mean, he's £21 million. Like, is he half the player of Elanga and Kudus? That's what he seems to
I
indicate.
hope he's a quarter of the player of Kudus, personally.
Yeah,
Nothing against the lad.
yeah. I just think it's a really good pickup for Sunderland. I think. So yeah, he played. Don't think he quite kicked on for Brighton last season versus the
No.
before. Played most looking at his heat map on the left for Brighton last season when Mitoma was he missed quite a few games with Mitoma last season, didn't he? Well, I think he's best on the right, so maybe we could see Adingra on the right and Talby on the left. But yeah, we'll see during pre-season. Yeah, just to mention, he's quite a key player for Ivory Coast, so it's almost certain if he's fit, he's going to miss Christmas due to AFCON. But yeah, on the face of it, he will definitely improve Sunderland based on the team that got promoted to the league. I think, yeah, quite good signing. I think.
On the outside, looked like they're having a go. I spoke about Habib Diarra, who on the last transfer window show I did a couple of weeks ago, looks like a really promising sign. Had already been like captain of Rennes. And it also got Ronaldo. These two also are highly likely to go to AFCON. So there's
Yeah,
5 new signings, and they're all likely to go to AFCON. And I did look, David. My team has got them over that period remarkably as well. And Kudus will be able to play, presumably.
yeah,
So I couldn't believe when I double checked. No, there's no way we're playing them over the 5 weeks of AFCON. Yep, we are. We're playing them at Way Out Lane. We'll
the
find a
result.
way of cocking it up. Just in a dingo, I just want to read this from Sam Murray, our Brighton correspondent. He said, promising first 6 months and some great Europa League performances, but struggled last season. Hard to get a run ahead of Mitoma. And when he did get the chance, he was poor. Feels like a good move for everyone. Decent money too. Best of luck to him. Hope he does well. I first saw him in a pre-season game in America. I want to say it was probably against Brentford. And it was like, where did they keep getting these players
Hey,
from?
yeah,
It was like a super talent again. I think it is to say, yeah, he's not kicked on. The break is probably right, and he'll go there, and there's every chance he'll end up being a key player potentially. So, yeah, good deal all round. I think for everybody, an interesting one.
yeah,
It's nice to see that they look like. I think what we want with these promoted clubs, and they have to be careful in terms of if they go back down. There's a strong possibility that obviously they might. But there's plenty of clubs who come up and we've gone, they don't even feel like they can have a go. Like Norwich has been an example in the past. All right, look, they've spent. Might lose half their team during the winter, but they've spent and they're having a go, and there may be more to come
I think they're of a
as well.
profile as well, where if it doesn't work out, or if they go down, you're probably going to get your money back on a lot of these young players as well.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. So yeah, that's probably a little bit more like the model of with Ipswich.
Yeah,
So, for example, Murray Hutchison has been linked with Brentford over the last couple of days as a possible move. That might hinge on what happens with Bumo, for example. So, yeah, I think you're right. There's an element of that. They're
yeah.
having a go, a little bit similar to Ipswich, maybe. Hopefully, they perform a bit better for them. Burnley, we talked about a couple of, I was going to say new arrivals for them, but we know both. Jakob Braun Larsen has rejoined them, who many of us saw play for Burnley a couple of years ago when they were last in the Premier League. Carl Walker, that was a massive shock. We obviously knew he was joining Manchester City, but he played right back for England in that friendly against Senegal. So join a promoted club was a big shock. I think there's a couple of reasons behind it. One, I suspect he would have gone to Sheffield United if they'd won the playoff final, because we know that's his club. And it seems like obviously in terms of family being settled, he's obviously spent the kind of last half of last season in Milan. I guess he wanted to stay locally. Burnley presumably have offered a good deal. I don't know what the salary is, but I guess he's walked straight in there as the top earner. He must do.
Guess so, yeah. I mean, he's from a leadership and professionalism point of view. You'd imagine he's going to be quite key for them. I
Oh,
think
I don't know. I've seen Cole play right back enough over the years at Tottenham.
he obviously,
Concentration is still a weakness all these years
yeah,
on.
yeah. I get it. He's one of those, isn't he? I always think with players who were so. I mean, he was lightning quick, wasn't he, in terms of recovery pace? When that goes, like what's left?
Phenomenal.
But yeah, I mean, he obviously knows Scott Parker well, doesn't he? As the
Yeah,
managers.
they would have played together at Tottenham and England.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on the face of it, apparently the fee's about 5 million, so not going to break the bank, I don't think, for Burnley. Premier League experience, a lot of Premier League experience. He's won it multiple times, obviously. So again, quite low risk from Burnley.
I think it's absolutely terrific signing. As long as it's not upsetting the apple cart, because he probably is, like I said, going to walk in there as significantly the highest earner at the moment. But I would imagine the players would have gone, blimey, we've bought someone who's just played right back for England and is,
Yeah,
I guess, got a Premier League legend, I guess, basically. I think that's a super deal. I know plenty of questions. He's had a big dip. I think when I was at the Etihad and I saw Timo Werner tear him apart, I was like, hang on a minute, there is a real drop off here. But it was only like 9 months or so before that, we were all trusting him. Like, he's got to play for England. If we're playing against Mbappe, he's got to play. Cole's the best to deal with it, etc. Obviously, he was leaving City. I didn't think he'd go this slow, though.
no, me
I
neither.
really didn't.
I thought he'd keep playing abroad, to be honest. Tick off all the cliched bits, like go to Saudi, maybe go to MLS. He's ticked off the Turkish Super League already, hasn't he? But
Well, there's still time for Cole to do that if he wants
yeah,
to, I think.
but yeah, like you say, it's hard to fault it from Burnley's point of view. He's gonna bring a lot off the field as well as on the field, I imagine. Yeah, I can Brun Larson just quickly. Yeah, he's obviously familiar to a lot of Burnley fans. Burnley do these great transfer reveals, don't they? They're probably the best around on social media.
They are, definitely.
Yeah. I had a quick scan of the comments at his one, and they were universally positive. Burnley fans are very happy to have him back. Scored a banger at Luton season before last. I must admit, that's the only thing I really recall him from, really. But yeah, by all accounts, did a good job when he was there first time round, and yeah, fans are quite happy to have him back.
Okay. We don't want to leave Leeds out. They've got another new player in as well, Gabriel Gudmundsson. Sounds like someone who should have joined Burnley. I feel like they've had a few Gudmundssons, it
Yeah,
feels
they
like.
are.
What do we know about Gudmundsson? Left back, Swedish.
Yes, left back Swedish. They've obviously lost Junior Firpo, who was their left back in the Championship. Very good left back in the Championship level.
I'm glad you added that last bit because I've got a few reservations, it must be said.
Yes, whether he'd have done quite as well in the Premier League, we'll never know now. But yeah, he's got a good pedigree. Gudmundsson signed him from Lille in Liga. 26 years old, 15 caps for Sweden. I'll be honest, I've never seen him play, I don't think, but found out what I can. His heat map is that he does like to get forward from left back, not averse to going into central areas, so quite comfortable on the ball. Yeah, his attacking data was pretty underwhelming though when I had a look at it. Doesn't really offer a massive goal threat. Having said that, he is prepared to have a shot. That might sound kind of counterintuitive, but it might be one that when he gets the ball, he can't resist having a shot sometimes. He averages nearly a shot a game, but not really with any great success, I don't think. But I think Leeds, first and foremost, will want him to defend well, won't they? So from that point of view, his pedigree's pretty good, and there is a gap to be filled at left back for Leeds. So don't think he's cost a massive amount of money. So on the face of it, again, yeah, seems quite a logical one.
Sorry, I lost interest halfway through that because I have seen a report not confirmed that Morgan Gibbs-White was not at Nottingham Forest training today.
Oh, okay.
That's unconfirmed, but I've just seen that as a potential report. And FPL have tweeted, and it doesn't involve a price.
You'll have to watch back my hot chat on Swedish left backs there on the recording.
I look forward to it, David. There's another left back at Brighton. This one might be interesting for FPL. They've got a couple of deals over the line.
Yeah, tasty. So first one we'll cover quickly because there's not a massive amount to say. Olivier Boscali. Not a massive amount to say, but I do think he's a good pickup for Brighton. He was on a free transfer from PSV, French. Played 11 times in the Champions League for PSV last season. Fairly creative. I mean, it's hard to know how much to kind of place emphasis on Eredivisie data, but one of the most creative centre-backs in Eredivisie last season. Looks quite a Brighton signing, really. Just makes a ton of sense. Free transfer, good age, he's 27. And I feel like Brighton could do with a centre-back. I know they've signed one a few weeks ago, but yeah, he'll be pretty decent. De Kuiper is way more interesting, I think, from an FPL point of view. 24, cost around 20 million euros. His heat map is pretty spicy. He loves to get forward. Signed from Club Brugge. Lots of time in the opposing half. He only scored once, though, last season, but he definitely does have goals in him. He's got 3 goals and 10 caps for Belgium. Yeah, 99th percentile for XA and progressive passes. Sound like a real data nerd here, but amongst the other fullbacks in Belgium, I guess the only thing to say, I mean, I don't think you could start with him in FPL because Estepinian is still at Brighton at the moment, so there's maybe a bit of a battle going on there.
I'll wait and see see what Az says on Black Box and do the opposite. I think. Shout out Az.
Yeah, but he could be really interesting. I mean, you wouldn't think he'd sign for Brighton if he was told he was not going to get decent minutes. I don't think so. Yeah, keep an eye on him. I think when Brighton's fixtures are looking decent because he has got attacking threat in him. I think definitely.
Yeah, very much one to keep an eye on. Should we continue the left back theme, David?
Yeah, we do have another one. Crystal Palace have signed Borna Sosa. What can I tell you about him? 27, Croatian, 26 caps.
Cheap deal.
Cheap, yeah. He's had quite a few injuries, having done a little bit of a deeper dive into him. Quite a few different ones. So you can spin that either way, whether he's just been unlucky with multiple injuries or whether he is just someone who gets injured. I guess, would he start ahead of Tyreek Mitchell? I don't think Tyreek Mitchell.
I don't think so.
To be dropped, I don't think. But
they had to get cover for that position.
Yeah,
because they've not had it for a while, and with Europe now.
Yeah, they've got these extra games now, so they need. It looks like he can play wing back because obviously Glasner is a 3 at the back guy. Again, loves to get forward. Can he stay fit? I guess is the big question. But yeah, good pedigree, good attacking data, cheap as well. So yeah, makes some sense.
Yeah, they're in a stuck position as a club at the moment because they don't obviously quite know what's happening next. As covered on our Patreon Q&A, I'd suspect they won't get the Europa League ban overturned. And that doesn't mean you require the level of depth that you would in Europa League, quite frankly. You just won't. Palace will be in a position where they'll be able to go second string side. But I don't know how strong that second string side would be at the moment. It wouldn't be like the level of Chelsea's second string side that we saw in that competition last year, for example. So, yeah, they had to get a second player in that position. That's done. I think once what happens with them in terms of European involvement, their seasonal, their transfer window will kick into gear a little bit. Obviously, need to keep an eye on Eze. I suspect he may still end up at Arsenal despite some of their spending, which we'll touch on briefly. A name I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Tierno Barry, now done deal. Here we land, I guess. Villarreal to Everton, 22-year-old French forward, 27 million fee. You got anything to add on him, David, on top of what I'd covered off a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, I know you covered him quite a bit. 27 million, so they've splashed the cash there, Everton, but they did need a striker, I think. Obviously, a really good age. Played for France in the Euro under 21s. His heat map suggests he is a pure 9, really, although he can probably do a job out wide. 11 goals in La Liga last season. FBA Ref have got this thing where when you look at the data, it kind of profiles 10 similar players for every player. I don't know what their hit rate is for accuracy on that, but interesting that they compared him to Mateta, Evanilson, Solanke in their data points. So 3 good Premier League strikers. That's to be defined.
That's a very conceivable FPL front three at some point.
It is, yeah. It really did stick out when I saw that. Looking at his data, his best qualities are aerials 1. So with Barry, there is something inside so strong there, I think, with him. They've a miracle week.
Blinding, David.
Decided they were going to do it anyway. Buy him.
Cut.
Other things that he's good at: progressive carries, non-penalty XG. I think he's quite raw looking at his data, but you're not a bad player if he's scoring 11 goals in La Liga. Clearly, I think, are you? And it is quite a moist signing. I think he likes players with quite a bit of ceiling to go. I think So yeah, an interesting one. They've obviously lost Calvert Lewin, so they needed some stocking up front, and yeah, Barry's who they've decided to go for.
I'm very intrigued to see where he's going to land price wise. I think Everton have got a decent start of fixtures. It feels clear to me that he'll be coming in as the starting nine. It might not be immediate. Beto's obviously still there as well. But I'm intrigued to see how he gets on in pre-season. I think of the new signings into the league that are new to us, he's the one I'm most keen to keep an eye on, I think, over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's interesting.
It's difficult to start with players you don't really know at the start.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I feel he's going to play as the nine, got Leeds opening game, might take a stab at it if the price is good, possibly. So keen to keep an eye on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he looks interesting for sure. Yeah,
One deal we think will probably get confirmed today is Georgia Petrovic moving from Chelsea to Bournemouth. Fee around about £25 million. Obviously, Bournemouth need to plug the gap of Kepa, who's obviously joined Arsenal officially. Seems like a good deal. Actually, the Chelsea fans speak quite highly
he's
of
a good keeper.
Petrovic.
Yeah,
Yeah, a few question marks in terms of how good he is with his feet, etc. But it seems like he had a good season last year in France. Fees reasonable for first choice goalkeeper. Seems like it's going to be a good pickup. I guess he'll go in 4.5. I've seen tweets already. That's my 4.5 goalkeeper locked in. Can we slow down a bit, everybody? Dean Henderson might be the 4.5 that you want to get in. I'm not going to cover him. I'm going to cover Jordan Henderson. That is official this morning, although Brentford did seem to notify their fans via email yesterday that it was confirmed and then hastily retracted it. Yes, Jordan Henderson is confirmed a Brentford player. Might even go in as captain, possibly. He's a player, obviously, you know well, David.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's a really good signing for Brentford. He was linked to Sunderland, wasn't he, for the romantic move? But Brentford does make sense. I mean, Norgard's gone, hasn't he, to Arsenal, so having that wise head in midfield does make sense. I think obviously Henderson's made some headlines for some of the decisions he made in recent years. I don't know if maybe if he had his time again, he would make some different decisions. But one thing you have to say, I mean, I've noticed this. I still follow him on Instagram, and like you can see, like he is. He still earns massive respect within the game. He is a player's player, I think. Um, Everyone really respects him. I don't have any doubts that he'll still be a good pro and still be in good nick and be able to play at Premier League level and still be able to keep the ball and pick a pass and be a really good influence at Brentford. So yeah, I mean on free transfer, that's really good for Brentford, I think.
Yeah, it's the sort of signing I think Brentford needed. Bit of
Yeah,
calm as well. You know, Norgard's left, manager's left, Bumo might leave. It seems like a good deal. I think it's good for him to be back in England and be back within our vision. If
yeah,
he's back in the England squad under Thomas Tuchel, I think we need him back in our visual vision because since he left Liverpool, we're not really seeing him. So is he still of required level? I think playing here will be helpful again for him and his ambitions, presumably, to be in that squad next summer. So yeah, sensible deal for Brentford. There was going to be a leadership void there, and I think he'll cover some of that. So I think that's a decent deal for everybody. One more that might get done, although I have seen a bit of conflicting reports this morning. For those who watched the Club World Cup, you can't have not noticed John Arias of Fluminense. We think that he might be on his way to Wolves. I guess potentially in part as a Matthias Cunha replacement. Really did stand out for Fluminense. Created 18 chances in the competition. I think that's the next highest was 12. So really good, catches the eye, good ball player, very creative, can certainly fill in that position in kind of Wolves' 2 10s behind Larson. Although I have seen some conflicting reports this morning that suggest it's not that close,
right.
and it might be that someone else is involved, possibly. But that's the rumoured one at the moment. John Arias going to Wolves. Be a good pickup for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I'm not going to talk about Arsenal much, purely because Adam Pritchard's joining me on our Patreon podcast today, primarily to talk about what's happening with Thomas Partey. Again, it's available to everybody for free. But we will touch on these likely arrivals for Arsenal as well. So it looks like all three of these are going to happen. Noni Madueke, it's kind of well known. Victor Gyökeres is now happening as far as we're concerned, and so too Christian Mosquera, who's a centre back I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, coming in from Valencia. He's in the last year of his contract, And all I've been told about him is he's half Gabriel, he's half Saliba. He's like a mix of the two, and will presumably come in and be first choice cover at centre back. Although I do think, as me and Suja discussed, Jakub Kiwior did quite well when he had to stand in towards the end of the season. All three of those deals highly likely to be happening, and that will suddenly take Arsenal's transfer spend to around about 200 million once that all goes through. And there's a lot of angst amongst Arsenal fans at the moment. It doesn't sound like it will stop there, as I mentioned earlier. I think once that's all done, there'll be questions being asked, I think, particularly about Eberechi Eze again. A line on Manchester United. So there's five players essentially free to go. Malacia, Anthony, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho. Well, I say they're free to go. They've still got to come into train at the moment, but not till 5 o'clock in the afternoon once Amrim and everybody else has cleared the building, basically. It's interesting because there's been so much made about United and Sir Jim Ratcliffe and penny pinching and tightening the ship. How many millions are United blowing here by telling everyone that these five players are completely available and that United don't want them?
It's hard to get your head around, really, isn't it? I mean, don't want to stick the boot in too much on United, but well, I mean, secretly I do, but I won't. I don't. I don't really know what they're trying to achieve here, other than unless the only thing I can think of is that they may be wavering about wanting to leave the club, and they're just trying to make them feel particularly bad by saying you can't come until 5 o'clock. But it doesn't seem to make a ton of sense for them to get what their actual market value is worth at the moment, because the clubs are going to know that United are desperate to get rid of them, aren't they, at the moment? So you can see a scenario, can't you, right on deadline day, where United are just going to maybe panic and just take sort of offers that are completely lower than what they're actually worth, I think. Yeah, it's hard to get your head around that, I think.
Which week will Garnacho and Nicholas Jackson swap?
Yeah, you've been clear on that one, haven't you?
I got asked that about a month ago. It's like, tell me an unlikely transfer. Like Nicholas Jackson to Manchester United. It just makes so much sense.
Mm.
So much sense. Rashford, I think he'll end up at Barcelona. Probably unregistered because they might be struggling to register players, but it's probably going to be better what the circumstances. There's plenty of talk about Sancho and Juventus. Anthony Betis want back, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do the deal financially. Malacia probably wouldn't be of high value here.
Yeah.
But why these other clubs would rush to get the deals done at the moment?
No, you wouldn't, would you? No.
No. And what's happening here as well is essentially holding up the Bumo deal.
Yeah.
Which I'm still absolutely certain is going to happen. And from there, United want another number 9 as well. But whilst they don't get this sorted, that is way too much in terms of wages, particularly on, I mean, Anthony, Rashford and Sancho. What are they on wages wise?
Anthony, especially. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, the pair of them, yeah. Yeah, they both cost
All three of them.
shit loads, didn't they? Yeah, they'll be on.
What is that? It's got to be close to $1 million a week on those players on wages.
Yeah, that's a massive part of the puzzle, isn't it? Finding clubs who can just offer anything in that ballpark. Yeah, it's a mess, isn't it?
Mm. Just to finish up, a couple of contract renewals that are done. One got done literally about 5 minutes after I did the last transfer window podcast. Jared Branthwaite confirmed staying on at Everton. It's a big one for him because we know a lot of clubs would have been sniffing about. And Idrissa Gana Gueye, importantly for Everton, has re-signed as well. One that I think went a little bit under the radar, Ola Reina, I think was approaching last year of his contract at Nottingham Forest, a player I really, really like. He's re-signed with them as well. And one from overseas, because we had mentioned him, and it probably has a consequence maybe for Rashford, is Nico Williams re-signing on with Athletic Bilbao.
Yep.
Despite defacing of murals, etc. in Bilbao. I never saw those murals in Bilbao, by the way. Did I ever tell you about when I went to Bilbao, David?
I think you mentioned something. I can't remember what happened again. I can't remember.
Yeah, you're egging it on here. Right? Tell me about the time Manchester United lost the final. Yeah. Okay. David, thank you very much. Much appreciate that, mate. Top stuff. Really good contributions, my friend. Anything you want to plug before we finish up?
You're welcome. I was going to mention one other link actually. That just
Oh, go on.
On the Liverpool front, we've been linked with Mateta in the last.
Oh, really?
Hours. Yeah, but it would seem quite a un-Liverpool thing to do, I think, because he's 28, isn't he? Apparently he's a red, so maybe he'd be up for going. But yeah, he's got 2 years left on his deal. I've just heard a few sources talking about that. We obviously do need a nine if Nunes goes, but yeah, but want to monitor
Have you
it.
not fallen in love with skinhead Nunes? No.
Do you know what I have? This is how pathetic I am.
Or...
This is it's just me all over this. Like you spend the whole season with Nunes sort of doing your head in, like being a bit of a madman. And then first game back, he's had his hair cut and scores a goal, and I'm like, well, maybe he's a new man. Maybe we should keep hold of him actually. And then get fast forward to game week 1, and he'll be making awful decisions again. So I wouldn't be averse keeping him though. To be fair, he might be a madman, but he's our madman, isn't he? So we'll see how that happens. But yeah, no. Other than that, yeah, no, you're very welcome. Nothing to plug other than Patreon. I know it's free at the moment, but can't stress enough what great value it is during the season, and a good time to join with the new season starting. So yeah, get involved.
Good stuff. Thank you, buddy. Tomorrow, got a couple of guests with me, formerly from the Man on FPL podcast, but now doing their own thing. Darren Addy and Craig Kemp are joining me for some FPL chat. We haven't decided yet what we're going to talk about because we went to see if FPL Towers were going to do anything, but I don't think they are. So it's most likely to get opened up as a massive FPL Q&A. So keep an eye on socials late this afternoon, early tonight. I'll probably have a tweet out for some questions. As much varied topics as possible would very much be appreciated. David, thank you so much. Everybody, smash a like, hit the sub. 5-star review goes a really long way. Be nice to each other. And for those on the audio, cue music, please. Man shot.